whole situation is straight out of a reality show, except it's real life and nobody's getting paid for the drama. It all started when the cracks in Scrappy's relationships with both Bambi and Kendra began to show. At first, it was just whispers. Fans noticing little things here and there, picking up on tension, catching glimpses of drama in their posts. But then, things exploded in a way nobody expected, and suddenly, it wasn't just drama, it was a full-blown internet circus. Bambi had been playing it cool for a while, not saying too much, just letting people talk. But then she decided to let the world in on her truth, and that's when everything took a turn. She didn't hold back. She made it clear that Scrappy wasn't the man people thought he was. And honestly, it wasn't surprising. The signs were always there, but now that she was saying it out loud, it hit different. It's one thing to speculate, but when the person closest to him is confirming all the rumors, that's when things get real. Kendra, on the other hand, had been dealing with her own issues with Scrappy, and she wasn't about to let Bambi take all the attention. She jumped into the conversation with her own set of receipts, adding fuel to an already raging fire. Now, it wasn't just about Scrappy and Bambi's messy breakup. It was about his whole character. Both women were airing him out in a way that made it impossible for him to defend himself. The internet loves drama, and this was the kind that keeps people glued to their screens. Scrappy tried to play it off like it wasn't a big deal. He posted some vague messages about people trying to bring him down, about how he was staying strong through all the hate. But it didn't work. The damage was already done. When people have actual proof, words don't mean much. And the thing is, people were tired of the same old story. Man cheats, lies, gets exposed, and then tries to play the victim. Nobody was falling for it this time. Then there's Jock, who somehow managed to slide out of the mess without taking too many hits. It's actually wild when you think about it. He was right in the middle of all this drama at one point, but now he's sitting back, letting Scrappy take all the heat. That man knows how to move. While Scrappy is scrambling, trying to control the damage, Jock is over there chilling like he had nothing to do with it. And honestly, that's the smart move. When things get messy like this, the best thing you can do is say nothing. The moment you start trying to explain, trying to defend yourself, that's when people really start digging. And that's exactly what happened to Scrappy. He talked too much, and now every little thing he's ever done is being dragged out into the open. Meanwhile, Bambi and Kendra are having their moment. For so long, people had been questioning them, doubting their side of the story, but now they've got the upper hand and they're not letting go. They're making sure everyone knows exactly what they went through, and the internet is eating it up. People love a good downfall, and Scrappy's is playing out in real time. What makes it even worse for him is that he doesn't seem to have a game plan. Usually when celebrities or public figures get caught up in drama like this, they either go full apology mode or disappear for a while until things die down. Scrappy is doing neither. He's trying to fight back, but with no real proof, no real defense, he's just making things worse for himself. Every time he posts something, the internet tears him apart even more. At this point, he'd be better off logging out and letting people move on, but it's like he can't help himself. Bambi is playing this perfectly. She's not over-explaining, not getting caught up in back and forth arguments. She's letting the facts speak for themselves, and that's why people are siding with her. The best revenge isn't screaming about how someone did you wrong. It's showing the world that you've moved on, that you're unbothered, and that they're the ones stuck in the mess. And that's exactly what she's doing. Kendra, on the other hand, is taking a different approach. She's making sure people know every single detail. She's not just exposing Scrappy, she's breaking it all the way down, making sure there's no doubt left about the kind of person he really is. And while some people might think she's doing too much, you can't really blame her. When you've been holding on to the truth for so long and you finally get a chance to let it out, sometimes you don't want to stop. As all of this unfolds, social media is eating it up. Every little update, every new piece of information, every shady post, it's all being analyzed like it's an episode of a reality show. People are picking sides, arguing in the comments, making memes. And the craziest part, this probably isn't even the end. There's always another layer, another secret, another piece of the story waiting to come out. Scrappy is in the middle of it all, and there's no easy way out. His reputation is taking a hit, and the more he tries to control the narrative, the worse it gets. If he was smart, he'd take the L, lay low, and come back when people have moved on. But something tells me that's not going to happen. This is the kind of drama that doesn't just disappear overnight. Too many people are invested, too much has been said, and the internet never forgets. Whether Scrappy likes it or not, this is going to follow him for a while. And at this point, the only thing left to see is who's going to drop the next bomb. If Scrappy thought things were bad before, he had no idea what was coming next. Just when it seemed like the internet had chewed up the drama and was ready to move on, more details started leaking, and this time it wasn't just Bambi and Kendra speaking up. Other people started jumping in, friends, acquaintances, and even some randoms who claimed to have their own stories about Scrappy's shady ways. At this point, it wasn't just a messy breakup anymore, it was a full-scale reputation collapse. Bambi was still keeping her cool, letting the facts do the talking. Every time Scrappy tried to throw shade or play the victim, she didn't even have to respond. The internet was doing it for her. People dug up old clips, past interviews, even moments from Love and Hip Hop that suddenly made way more sense now that everything was out in the open. It was almost comical how obvious the signs had been. People just weren't paying attention before. Now though, they saw everything clearly. Kendra, on the other hand, wasn't letting up. She was on a mission to make sure nobody had any sympathy left for Scrappy. She kept dropping hints about even more dirt she could expose, and that alone was enough to keep people hooked. If there was one thing the internet loved, it was a slow burn scandal. One where every time you thought it was over, another piece of the puzzle came out. And Kendra knew exactly how to keep people waiting for more. At this point, Scrappy had two options: either come clean and own up to everything, or keep trying to fight back and risk making things worse. And of course, he chose the second option. He started going on the defensive, posting cryptic messages about how people love to tear others down, how he was still standing despite all the hate. But the problem was, nobody felt bad for him. This wasn't some random attack, these were the women who had been closest to him, calling him out with actual proof. You can't gaslight your way out of something when the receipts are right there for everyone to see. Meanwhile, Jock was still sitting on the sidelines, watching everything go down without getting dragged into it. And honestly, you had to respect the strategy. He knew that if he opened his mouth, people would start looking at his own past and pulling up dirt on him too. So instead, he let Scrappy take all the heat while he stayed out of sight. Smart move. As for Bambi, she was already making her next moves. She wasn't just sitting in the drama, she was using it to her advantage. Her following was growing, her brand was getting stronger, and people were starting to see her in a new light. Instead of being just another reality star caught up in a messy relationship, she was turning into a symbol of knowing your worth and walking away when someone doesn't deserve you. And whether that was intentional or not, it was working. Kendra, though, she was still in battle mode. She was clear she wasn't ready to let this go anytime soon. And honestly, that made sense. It's one thing to deal with a bad breakup, but when you feel like someone has publicly embarrassed you, lied to you, and wasted your time, sometimes you want to make sure they feel that same embarrassment 10 times over. And that's exactly what she was doing. By now, social media had fully turned against Scrappy. His comments were flooded with people clowning him, calling him out, reminding him of every mistake he'd made, and he had nobody to blame but himself. He could have taken the high road, admitted his faults, maybe even tried to spin this in a way that made him look like he was learning from his mistakes. But instead, he kept doubling down, and every time he did, he just looked worse. The wildest part was that all of this wasn't even happening on some big, dramatic TV reunion. It was all playing out in real time, straight on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. People weren't just watching the drama, they were actively participating in it, dissecting every post, analyzing every shady caption, making memes out of every ridiculous excuse Scrappy tried to throw out there. And once the internet gets hold of something like this, there's no coming back from it. Scrappy was learning the hard way that in 2025, you can't outrun the truth. No amount of cryptic posts or victim paying was going to save him now. The people had made up their minds and the verdict was clear. His time was up. His reputation was in shambles, and unless he pulled off some miracle rebrand, he was going to be stuck with this L for a long, long time. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse for him, rumors started swirling about even more drama behind the scenes. People started whispering about money problems, about more infidelity, about things that hadn't even come to light yet. Because that's the thing, when people start digging, they don't stop. Once they find one skeleton, they assume there's a whole graveyard waiting to be uncovered. Bambi, she was already looking ahead, moving on, focusing on herself. Kendra? She was still in the thick of it, but you could tell she was getting what she wanted. People were finally hearing her side. And Scrappy? He was still trying to fight an unwinnable battle, not realizing that the best thing he could do was log off and disappear for a while. This wasn't just a messy breakup anymore. This was a full-blown reckoning. And from the looks of it, the internet wasn't done with him yet.